You're listening to Whispers of War.
Hello everyone and welcome to Whispers of War. I'm your host Sil. This is show number 35 and let's talk about what I did in World of Warcraft this week. Unfortunately, I had my mother over, so there wasn't a lot of World of Warcrafting. I don't know if you guys have that when you have friends or family over, but you can't really just go, you know what, sorry, I know you traveled all this way, but I'm just going to game now. So I know my mum would probably have been okay with me sneaking off a few hours here and there to get some game time in. But I really didn't want to over Easter. I just really felt like, you know, I would be very, very rude and inconsiderate. So, not much WoW for me. I did play a little bit when my mother went back home. So, I did manage to do some war fronts on my druid. She's got the shoulder pads now that you get from Darkshore. So, she's looking more and more like a proper night elf in her gear. I'm enjoying it. It's easy to gear up. That's the only reason why I do war fronts. It's reputation, it's easy gear, and I still do my reputation because I still need to get my Dark Islands and the Colterans. Even though I don't really want to make any of them, I just feel like, you know, I have to unlock them. Otherwise the game just wouldn't feel like completed to me. It's just one of those things. Maybe in the future I'll regret it if I don't do it. And going back to old content to do rep grinds is sometimes a little bit harder than doing it when you're already doing stuff in the game anyway. So, just, you know, a little bit of war fronting. Apparently because of Easter, it's also Noble Garden time. I didn't pay much attention, but I heard the community say that they all love the Noble Gardners Hearthstone. So I just googled that just to see what it was all about and if I should get on the action. It's really cute, I have to admit. I quite like it. I mean, you know, who doesn't like to use their Hearthstone and be surrounded by butterflies, birds and bunnies? It's cute. I think it's a really fun way of doing it, but I'm going to assume that this has the cooldown for your normal Hearthstone, I would assume. But no, it's cute, and I think the bunny ears that you can get now, yellow, brown and blue, are really, really cute as well to have. You know, who doesn't want to have bunny ears? But it has not really pushed me into collecting all the eggs. I remember back in the day, it was fighting for it, and the best place when I used to do it was the Exodar. I really thought doing it in, it's not the Exodar, but it's you know, it's where the Draenei are, if you're Alliance. I'm not quite sure what would be the equivalent for Horde. Would that be where the Blood Elves are? I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I thought that was the best place to do it, because it's relatively quiet, so it's easy to find your eggs there. But when this podcast will be published, I don't think there's much time for you guys anymore to get any eggs, but maybe for next year. So that was Noble Garden. I didn't participate in that at all. I already have the mount. I'm not really that interested in the pets that might still be there. I had the purple bunny, that was enough for me. What else? Oh, a lot of controversy around the Blizzcon tickets, right? So I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I know that some people like to poo-poo on things and immediately go, oh, this is ridiculous, you know, Blizzard has gone downhill, blah, blah, blah. People love a bad story and, you know, just be negative about things. These are, not all of them, but I'm assuming a lot of people who already think very negative about Blizzard and everything, and they're not playing World of Warcraft anymore. Fair on you, but don't shit on anyone else's parade, you know, that you can't do anything worse. If you don't want to buy them, you don't buy them. I mean, if I was rich, I would love to just say to my work, you know what, I'm taking this week off, I'm going to America, here, I'll spend all this money on like a good hotel, a flight, and I'm happy to dish this out for a ticket. And I would, but I can't afford it. And, you know, I guess it's more important to fix the roof of my house if I need to, or redo the garden, stuff like that. You know, it's prioritizing, and for some people, it's easily doable, or that's what they really want to do. Go ahead and have fun. You know, make sure you have fun. I think that's the important thing with these prices, because if I can say one thing, yeah, it is very expensive, but I guess most people make a whole day out of it, or like a week out of it, so there's more stuff to do. Just this is a little bit of a guide for those of you who don't know. There's different tickets. So I guess the first basic ticket that you can get is the basic Blizzcon pass, which goes for $229. I have no idea how much that is in pounds, but I think it's something similar like that. So you will get into the event. I think this year no one is getting a goodie bag, but you're getting a statue from either the Alliance or the Horde. And, you know, all the other things that you can do before the actual events take place in the con. Then there's the BlizzCon Portal Pass, and that one I think is new. So you will get all the basics from the basic BlizzCon Pass, plus something new this year called Night at the Fair, and access to a portal lounge to meet the Blizzard employees and esport pros. Preferred parking, concierge support, separate registration and security lines, early entry to the convention. That's not a bad thing. That's like almost when you go to Disney and you upgrade to something and you want like the fast lane or, you know, stuff like that. And that's $500. I think if you had the money for it, why not? You know, I've heard people go like, oh, night at the fair, so you spend more money to spend more money. Who cares? If there's that one item that you really want, if you're already dishing out so much money, you might as well. And, you know, you get to meet Blizzard employees and esport pros. The parking could be really nice. I know, you know, I try to always park as close as possible to anything I have to go for. I think it's not that bad, if I'm honest. Yeah, okay, it's double the amount, but if you're willing to pay it, then I think you're getting something back for it. And then, of course, you get the BlizzCon Benefit Dinner Pass, which I think is... I don't know how much that one is. They don't put the price on there, but you have to be rich. So, if you do go to that one, I hope you have a wonderful time. But, you know, I think if you want to pay for it and you have the money to spend and it's not going to harm your daily living ways, then have fun, do it. I envy you. I wish I could go, but unfortunately it's not for me this year. Who knows, I might win the lottery at some point in time. Yeah, I'm looking forward to BlizzCon. I will say now, we haven't heard anything about the virtual ticket. We don't hear that for a very long time from what I remember, so it will be a while. I didn't buy one last year, and that was the first time ever that I did not buy a virtual ticket, and that was purely because we didn't get a mount. I know it sounds really sad, but I was not really, you know, I don't think there were any big announcements that was like, I need to see this, I really need to know what's going on, because, you know, Legion had just been released. I was not really, you know, I thought, we're not going to get like any major things, and then the whole Diablo thing, which I don't mind. I'm happy with anything that's being released about any game. I don't care what platform. I don't know. I hope we're going to get a mount this year in the virtual ticket pack. That would be so much better than a Transpog thing. And I think I will get a ticket, just because I have a feeling that we might get a little bit more about World of Warcraft this time and maybe some other games. Yeah, and all in all, I don't think it was a bad decision last year for me not buying it, just because I wanted to save some money, which I have now, so I can spend some money on other things. Yeah. If we get a nice mount, I will get it. Even if we don't get a nice mount, if we get a mount, I'll get that ticket. But please, Blizzard, make sure that we get a mount this year. I think that would really put me back into the whole, yes, I'm watching this. And it's, you know, on my birthday, and it's on my boyfriend's birthday, so I will have to ask him again if it's okay if I'm glued to the whole TV computer. He was very good with it last year, when I didn't watch it at that point in time, but, you know, there are ways. And I'm not saying anything else. And I've seen some of the stuff and the years before, so it will be fine. I'm sure that I can find a little bit of time in between celebrating his birthday. I doubt he wants me around for like 24/7 anyway. I think I'll slowly drive him insane if I'm there all the time. So yeah, I think this year I might actually return to the virtual ticket, long story short. And that's really it. So for World of Warcraft, it's been interesting. And I'm just going to say to everyone who is not getting a ticket or anything like that, don't ruin it for people who are going. So, you know, you can have an opinion all you want, but don't be a douche and, you know, shit on their parade. If they are happy, be happy for them. That's all I'm going to say. Anyhow, I am going to leave you now with an interview with a lovely guildie of mine, actually. This is like, I guess, Taliesin and Evertel were, you know, like the first guildies, but actually now another guildie. So I'm going to leave you with an interview with Cal, and I will see you on the flip side, and we'll talk all about what you're doing in-game at the moment. So I'll see you on the flip side. And with me today, I'm actually being joined by, and this is like a first I'm actually saying this, a guildie of mine, because that doesn't happen often. And also someone who's recovering from some very intense karaoke. Am I correct or not, Cal?
Yes, very, very correct. Very correct.
Because I saw that Taliesin and Evertel posted a nice little video on our Facebook page and also on their Twitter about, you know, the guild doing karaoke and everything. So it seemed like you had a good time.
Oh, it was a great time. It just destroyed my voice and everyone's voice to be exact, I would assume.
That's perfect for podcasting. So you know what? In all fairness,
Exactly.
You are forgiven for that.
Well, thank you.
So Cal, can you tell everyone who's listening who you are, what you do, just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Originally from Minnesota. I moved to Ireland last year for my master's, studying there. But I guess in relation to this, I've been playing World of Warcraft for years. I didn't start in the conventional way. I actually started playing on private servers back during Burning Crusade.
You know, I actually hear a lot of people do that. That a lot of people start out on private servers and then they really enjoy certain aspects of the game, and they're like, oh, I want to see what the normal game is like.
Yeah, and like for me, it's because I was a kid and my parents like wouldn't like not like a subscription game that they'd spend money on. So I just, my brother showed me how to work private servers, and I just got on there and threw myself in there. I loved it, but I just until I got older and got a part-time job, I was never able to just pay for it myself. So I didn't actually start in earnest playing until Warlords of Draenor is when I got into retail. And they've just been playing steadily since then.
That's still quite fresh then in that sense.
Yeah, but I started back in Warcraft 3 before World of Warcraft was even a thing. I played Warcraft 3, Frozen Throne, and then I went back and played Orcs and Humans and Warcraft 2 and the expansion pack for that. I was way into the Warcraft games before WoW was even around. Once WoW came, it's like I gotta try this.
Nice, that's really nice. I like people who start with all of that, because for me it was the other way around, really, if I'm honest. Okay, so you said you're from America originally. So I had another person a very long time ago on the podcast who had to switch from an American account to an EU account. How is all of that?
It's in one way it's easy, just with how WoW works nowadays, where you can start and like I got my EU account and had my 110 boost, so I can just get right into BFA content, which was great and made it really easy, and I didn't really lose much gaming because I didn't have to go through and level all that. But especially after Legion, there's a lot of other things that made it really tough because all of the Legion unlock stuff you lose. So like all of the Mage Tower skins and like curve achievements and mounts that are no longer obtainable. Like those are all just sitting idle on my US account, and so that's in that way it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, I bet.
Having to essentially start square one, and it's not starting from square one like with like a character and leveling, rating, and all that, because that's all pretty quick to get back up to speed with current content. But it's the cosmetics and achievements, and the mounts, and all of that. That's where you're starting over. That's where you have to spend a lot of time trying to get some of that stuff back. So I find that a little frustrating at times, to be honest.
Yeah, I can imagine,
So,
especially with the Mage Tower ones, because you can't obtain those anymore. That's really a shame.
exactly, yeah. And like I mained a protection paladin all throughout Legion, and so that was the Mage Tower that I was like, I'm getting this done before I do anything else. And so for a couple weeks, I was throwing myself at that challenge on my prop paladin, because that Mage Tower challenge on the protection paladin was not fun. But I finally got it down, and I was like, all right, this is like, and I used that Mage Tower appearance pretty much for the rest of the expansion.
Nice.
And so it's like not having that anymore, as I play warrior now, but I do have paladin, so not having that option for my paladin, it's a real bummer, because it really is kind of a badge of honor, having gotten that stuff.
Absolutely. I would like that would really, really destroy me with certain things. It's just, it's not, when you look at the grand scale of things, of course it's not, but on the other hand, it's something that you achieved, it is
Exactly.
you go like,
Exactly.
oh, I did all that time, I spent it on that. So no, I feel your pain on that, and I think many people who had to switch or who lost their account will feel that pain. So when you started, or maybe I know where you're playing now because we are guilds, so I know where you're playing now, but Horde or Alliance, and why?
Alliance from day one.
Okay.
Yeah. From first character I've made was a Night Elf Hunter, so like day one Alliance. And I mean, at the start, like it was just kind of an aesthetic thing. Like I wanted to play Night Elves, and so it's like, all right, I'm going to play Alliance. And I have played Horde characters in the past, but I've always mostly played Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And like from early days, it's just the Alliance, races and what they have just appealed for, sort of what I look for in fantasy games.
Mm-hmm.
But then as sort of the narrative, I started caring more about the narrative. Then I was like, okay, the Alliance has these characters that I'm much more invested in, like Varian and Tyrande and Malfurion and like Bird and Magni. And so it's like getting into the lore of it, I was more drawn to Alliance than to the Horde. And then especially in BFA with sort of the direction the Horde's been going in, I'm like, I can't. It's like Alliance all the way.
Fair enough. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
So you said a little bit that you got into World of Warcraft before with Warcraft 3. So how did you start that whole love for the Warcraft universe? How did you get into it?
My older brothers got Warcraft 3 for the computer, and I remember watching them play it. And then I saw that it was cool, and like I'd liked other video games before that, and especially RTSs, because I played a lot of Age of Empires when I was like, really young. And so that's where I got into sort of the RTS game. Saw Warcraft. That looks really cool. It's also got like elves, humans, like fantasy stuff that I really liked because I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. So I was like, I got into Warcraft 3 and I was playing it, doing a campaign, and going through all that. And I was like, this is so cool. And then when I got into, I started doing like Battle.net and like online custom games. And I was like, this is even cooler. like interacting with other people and playing these really cool maps that people made that just took the rules of what Blizzard put out there, completely made it into a completely new game mode, and just learning all of that stuff just by doing it. I just found it really, really fun, and especially the online because I'd really gotten into MMOs, starting with RuneScape actually, and so then like I loved MMOs, that sort of style of having a online world that's just populated by a bunch of other people they can play with and interact with. And then when they announced like World of Warcraft, I was like, oh, this is amazing. This is like the best of both worlds right now. So that's really where like my love for WoW started, was just the combination of Warcraft and how much I love those games, and also just my interest in MMOs.
So the best of both worlds, really.
Exactly.
Okay. So you said that you started on private servers before. What's the biggest difference you notice with the paid servers and the private servers?
Ooh, that's a tough one. It's been a while since I've been on private server, but I remember, and this varied from private servers because I hopped between two of them, but some of them had a much healthier environment than others, and I think the community on private servers is more in line with sort of what server communities were like back in like Classic and PC, and so that's at least now, like comparison private servers now and live servers now. But then also a lot of private servers had like tweaked to the numbers. You like had increased XP gains or increased drop rates and stuff like that. And so it was also that I also found it really fun. Like you could, and BC, you could start a new character and be max level in like a couple days. And I'm like, this is so cool, because then I think on one private server during BC, when that was the server they were running, I think I had like 6 or 7 level 70s, just because it was really fast leveling, so I could really try out a bunch of different classes at max level, play around, see which ones I liked. So I found that to be really cool, as opposed to when I had tried WoW, which I did enjoy, but it was a much slower pace compared to some of the private servers. And so I found that to be a pretty unique distinction between the two, because private servers, they were a bit more flexible with sort of the rules of the game and tweaked them to kind of give each server their own unique sort of feel, especially with one other server I found too, which was like a pure PvP server, where you started off as max level with like sort of basic set of PvP gear, and you were just in like one of the starting towns, and like there they had all the PvP vendors and people to queue for battlegrounds and arenas, and that's just what the server was.
Oh wow!
You couldn't leave that area except to go to battlegrounds, and so it's like you want PvP. That's what you do. It's just straight PvP, which I found really interesting, because I wasn't good at PvP and I didn't play it that much. But whenever I wanted to try it, I'd like, all right, I can just go onto my character on the server, jump in the battleground, and try out PvP at like max level. And so I think that's one of the cool things about private servers, is that you can kind of find a server that's very much tailored to kind of what you want specifically.
That's actually really cool. I never realized that's what they did. That's really eye-opening for me.
Yeah.
As you can hear, I'm only like paid servers only. That's the only thing I've dabbled in.
Yeah.
Now, talking about, that you said about PvP servers, of course, we both are on an RP server. And when I asked you what sort of topic would you like to talk about, you said you wanted to talk a little bit about exploration in World of Warcraft and RPing. So why these two topics?
Because I guess it's came about from my sort of experience playing, because I did start in Warlords of Draenor on the live servers, and I started during, what was the last patch? It was 5.2 was Hellfire Citadel, Or was that 6-2? It was 6. I think it was 6-2. Was Hellfire Citadel. But like, so I started playing WoW during like the Warlords of Draenor content route. That's when I got into the game, which was fine because I was still new. I hadn't really played anything since Kata, so I still had no idea about anything that's going on in WoD or Pandaria. And so I was just having a fun time, just kind of seeing what was there and what was new that I hadn't experienced. But then I caught up, and then I was looking for something to do, and I was like, I want to try out RPing because I like D&D and tabletop RPGs and role playing. So
Okay.
I wanted to give that a shot. And so I got into an RP guild on Moonguard, US servers, and just got into that. I loved it. It was a really small guild. We were all really close, and just had a blast. Just RPing around Stormwind and other nations in Northrend and whatnot. And so it was just a lot of fun, just kind of doing what we wanted to without really caring about raids or dungeons or PvP. And so I did not care that there was a content drought going on. Where everyone else is like, this raid has been out for so long and it's so boring. And I was like, I don't give a shit. I'm still having fun. I was still logging on every day and having a blast. And then that ties in a lot with like the exploration part of it. That'd just be, I love just kind of wandering around, seeing what was in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in BFA. BFA has been a great expansion for that sort of stuff. Mostly just with Morales, and I'm assuming Zuldazar or Dazarlor. I don't have a board character.
It can be. I can say to play both factions.
Yeah, so I can speak for Morales, but I'm like Morales. There's been some days I've just logged on and just walked around Morales, just going into buildings and going down different streets and seeing all the stuff there. And I'm like, they spent so much time just putting in random stuff that has no bearing on the story or the gameplay, raids or anything. It's just there. So there's just this city in the game for you to just wander around. And I love that. I love that they did that. And I love that they've been doing that more with Stormwind too, how they've been populating them more NPCs and including just sort of more random stuff that doesn't really contribute to the story or have any importance on that, really. It's just, there's just people there, and it just makes it feel more like a living city. And so that's what I really enjoy in BFA. Along with that, because it just lets you do something different. Like I still love doing, raid and doing my war fronts when they're up to get the rewards from that, and doing the islands to get Azeroth. But just sometimes I just log on and just go walk around Borealis.
I need to start doing that, I think.
Yeah, there's lots of stuff to find. I think my favorite thing that I've found so far was in Upton Borough. It's like this little, I don't really know how to describe it. It's like a fire pit with some benches around it, kind of one of the houses.
Yeah.
And some servers walking around, there's some nobles sitting around. But if you go down into the cellar beneath the building, you'll see a nobleman with his arm around the servant girl, just chatting, like she's kind of like laughing. It's like, and they're not saying anything, but it's like the animations for the tunes.
Mm-hmm.
And so like she'll laugh, he's like chatting, they're talking back and forth, but but he's got his arm around her. And if you walk too close, then the serving girl does like kind of like the shy, embarrassed emote and then walks away. And I'm like, there's no quest, there's nothing, but here's a story that they've put in about like this, scandalous affair between a nobleman and a serving girl that is just there for you to just stumble upon. And I remember finding that, and I was like, this is just here. This is amazing.
That is funny. I like it when they put stuff in there that really makes the game much more alive. have you ever stumbled? You know, you have stumbled upon NPCs. Have you ever stumbled upon players that you're like, I don't think I should have been here with RP?
Generally not, because I'm generally war mode.
Okay.
And that's one thing I've noticed that a lot of RPers don't war mode. So generally no. There's been a couple times, not recently, but there's been times in the past where I kind of stumbled in on like RPs, and I'm like, oh, all right, just gonna pretend I didn't see anything.
Was that mostly like in Goldshire or?
No. I avoid that place like plague. That's yeah. Coming from like Moonguard US servers is like where that started. Like that is the Goldshire that made Goldshire infamous.
I have to admit,
so,
I've watched all of Pixel Cat's videos on YouTube, and I think that is Moonguard that he's often visiting.
I think so.
I think it's hilarious to see what's going on.
Oh yeah, like it. You know, if you're ever just looking to just really question your faith in humanity, I feel like creating a human tomb on Moonguard on US servers, just walking to the Goldshire Inn, you will see things that you wish you had never seen. and it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah.
The experience.
It certainly is. I mean, I can only say it from Argent Dawn's perspective, because people who know me know that I've just been in there because I think some of the roleplay is freaking hilarious. And
yeah.
Just
yeah, some of it definitely is.
It's you know, I've always said it was a bit like, you know, when you're a kid and you play like these pretend stories with your friends. That's really what sometimes, you know, we all know that the ERP is happening around you, but you still see so many people just doing silly RP, and you don't have the RP elitist around who go, you can't do that because that's not in the lore. People are just having fun.
Yeah, and that's like the big thing about RP. It's like it's just for fun. Like it has no bearing on character progression or quests or anything like that. It's something you do with friends or even, you know, strangers that are just up for it to just have fun in essentially a template that Blizzard creates. And you will occasionally get those people that are really stuck up about like the lore and like certain like quote unquote rules for RP, but I feel like most people generally aren't. There's kind of an understanding. It's like general things are, you know, universally accepted, like lore, but some slight variations to that most people don't really bat an eye, as long as it isn't like, oh yeah, I'm actually King Varian's, you know, long lost brother, and I'm real King of Storm. And then people are like, yeah, all right, whatever, they just ignore you.
Yeah.
But it's like if you say that, like, you know, you're a knight in Stormwind's army, it's like, yeah, no, like totally, that's totally within the realms of possibility. Or it's like, you know, you're a bishop in Church of Light, it's like, all right, yeah, no, that's you know, reasonable. So
and it gives a bit of extra dimension to your character and the game, doesn't it? When you can
exactly. I honestly have the opinion that I feel like everybody should download an RP add-on and just create a backstory for their characters that they play. Like, it doesn't have to be super, you know, in depth or crazy, but, you know, just like, you know, I like so and so grew up in Goldshire before joining the Alliance Army. They rose through the ranks. Like, all right, that's great. Like, that's an RP backstory. You don't have to RP, but it just makes it feel more like an RPG when you have a backstory for your character.
Yeah,
I would encourage anybody and everybody to do that. It's fun.
I think that's a very good tip. Do you have a favorite RP add-on? If people want to give it a go, which one would you recommend?
I like TRP3, Total Roleplay 3. I think it's the most popular one, the most down. I like it because it's as simple or as complex as you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can do like really basic stuff, like here's my character's full name. Oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry. It's like give your character a first name and last name and a title if you want, and do like a short write-up about their backstory, or you can get really in depth with it and do a lot of defining characteristics and naming mounts, pets, and how they relate to your character. You can even set settings in how you relate to other people's characters who have the add-on. So it can be very in-depth and give you a lot of tools to work with, but you don't have to use any of them. You can just keep it very bare bones. So I feel like it's a great one for people that don't really care about getting too in-depth, but also for the people that want to get into the more nitty-gritty of RP and what you can do with these add-ons. It has that too.
I think that's a very, very good tip. Because I'm using the same one. I'm using TRP 3, and I just find it, even if you don't fill in anything yourself, you can always click on someone who does have it and just look on their profiles just to get some inspiration, just in case you want to start out and you find it really difficult. Get some inspiration from what other people write. Just don't do it in Goldshire. That's my little warning there.
Yeah, if you want ideas, go to Cathedral Square in Storm. That's the place to start. Don't go to Goldshire. That's
a good tip. That's a very good tip. Do you have anything else that you would like to say about exploration or RPing in World of Warcraft?
Not much besides I just encourage people to give it a try, because it's super easy, it's super casual. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it every day, but you can always try it out. And especially on RP servers, the communities that do engage in RP, I've found, are generally very welcoming to people that want to learn how to do it and are to want to give it a shot. Or even if you just want to watch people RP, that's totally cool too. So just in general, give it a shot, see if you like it. If you don't, no skin off your back. But if you do, then it's another way that you can play the game.
Yeah, I like that one. I am always so up for people promoting RP, because it's one of my favorite things in games. So yeah, that's really cool. All right, so let's go to the next part of the interview, everything around Battle for Azeroth. So what would you say you are the most impressed with in Battle for Azeroth?
I mean, like, besides, like I mentioned earlier, Immortalis, the world building, I do appreciate some of the storytelling that they've sort of not being super upfront with the characters. Like I'm an Alliance player, and I have no problem hiding that or proud about that, but I do think that the Horde storyline right now, like Sylvanas and Sour Bane stuff, is really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to see how that plays out, because it, while I'm not a Horde player, it's not as impactful for me. I still find it very engaging, because it's basis of Warcraft is the conflicts between the Horde and the Alliance. So knowing the opponent and who the opponent is going to be is just as important to the Alliance as the Horde knowing who they are. And so that's what I've really enjoyed about BFA so far. It's that internal conflict within the Horde, because it creates uncertainty for both sides. Because, if we're going into the mindset of two sides, as an Alliance player, Sylvanas is kind of like the person that I want to get rid of and I want to take down. But if, say, Bane became War Chief, if that's what happened in the expansion, it's like, all right, I'm not going to be as like, yeah, let's go get it. It's gonna be, all right, Bane's, pretty reasonable person and a level-headed guy. He's not somebody that we need to attack or intimidate or try and lead a war against. And so I think that's what's really interesting about the story so far. So yeah, BFA, I think, for me, for what's really impressed me so far is that storytelling. and how Blizzard isn't afraid to be like, yeah, we're gonna throw some massive curveballs, and you're not gonna know how it's gonna end.
They do like doing that.
I know. And I think that started with Legion. I think in Legion they got more brave, not pulling punches. And I think that started with like the Broken Shore, and then being, yep, now Varian's dead, yep, Vol'jin's dead. And it's like, oh shit, this is getting serious. And so I think Legion kind of gave them confidence to make some more impactful storytelling decisions, and now they're really seeing with really looking forward to just seeing where the story goes in the expansion.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I think a lot of people are very curious to see what happens per patch now. Now, a little bit on the lesser side of BFA, what are the things that you are the least impressed with?
I mean, up until recently, I was really just not impressed with the PvE content, dungeons and raids. Didn't really get into. I don't remember the last time they did a Mythic Plus, because the dungeons I find are not that interesting.
Okay.
I mean, they're fun to run. Like, if I do get into a Mythic Plus group or just like whatever, I still enjoy it and I still like doing the content. It's not something that I'm finding myself drawn to do. I've been more into the raids and getting to rated PvP. And I don't know if that's like a design or it's a narrative or mechanic thing that's made me hesitant to that, but I just the dungeon content I haven't been super impressed with, and the raid content, at least up until Battle for Disney Lore, I wasn't that invested in Uldir. I ran it because I like raiding, and that's more of just I like hanging out with people that I know doing raid.
Mm-hmm.
But the raid itself, I didn't find that fun. There were one or two bosses that I was like, this is pretty cool, but overall it was not. It's very lackluster, especially coming off Antorus, because I loved Antorus. That I thought was a lot of fun. So overall, I haven't been impressed with that, but Desire Lore, I really the raid's much better, and hopefully with the new raid and the new mega dungeon, my opinion will continue to be shifted on it. As of right now.
That will be a good thing, I think, if it goes upwards in a line.
Yeah, because I have hopes for the Mechagon dungeon, because I loved Karazhan and Legion. Loved that, like, long 5 dungeon. And so I hope Mechagon is good. I hope it is good. I would love to have another Karazhan.
You know what? I'm going to keep my fingers crossed with you there. That would be pretty amazing if we get something like that again. Okay, so do you have any good tips for the listeners regarding Battle for Azeroth? So that could be something that you've discovered, or, maybe people in the past have said, take your time because don't rush for anything, or anything else that you think like, okay, maybe you're burned out, maybe you should do this, or maybe you have not seen this, or what would you urge people to do?
I would say, for the most part, just pacing with the content, because there is a lot of stuff to do just with world quests and warfronts and islands and raid, dungeons, and PvP, and weekly events, and all of that. It's very easy to just get thrown into stuff and just sink time in and not really achieve that much.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a little while for me, I was playing a lot, wasn't really getting a whole lot done. Like, I'd get my emissaries done, get done. For the most part, it's like, all right, but like nothing that I really want to get done. So that'd be my tip. There's a lot to do, so just pacing yourself and also just setting a clear goal when you log in, kind of what you want to get done for that day. Like, get my +10 done. +10. Want to just finish off Emissary, hit this rep or something. I feel like BFA, like there's a lot to do, which is great. There's also a lot to do that won't really be best served for what you want to get done with your characters in your account. And that's something I've been trying to get a better handle on, especially since 8.1 came. It's just, what do I want to get done? Like, what do I want to get unlocked or got on my characters? That's what I need to focus on. So I feel like for BFA right now, especially, that's kind of the best thing for players to focus on.
Yeah, I think that's a very good tip, because it can be very overwhelming. I think especially for people who want to do it all, it becomes a little bit overwhelming, I think. So having a clear goal, but still pacing yourself, that's a very good tip, I think. Okay. Now, this is a little bit, it depends who I talk to. And that question is, what has the Warcraft community meant to you? So that could be people from that you started playing with in the beginning, your friends that you met, or your guildies, or anything that is basically the community of World of Warcraft. What has it meant to you?
I mean, for me, it's just been a lot of like people that I've been able to just have fun with, because like I got back into World of Warcraft in earnest, like after the first year in college, and like I was working a lot in college, because I was working security, and I'm a bit of a workaholic, so it was kind of an awful combination, because my security job, there was always shifts to pick up, and they wouldn't tell no if you wanted to work. So I ended up working a lot. Like, my social life just hit a really just awful spot. But when I wasn't working at home, I was probably playing WoW, because security also led to just awful hours. And so I would work Friday nights when people wanted to hang out, and then I'd have, Monday afternoons off. So it's like, all right, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to play WoW. And so, like, just being able to log in, it just meant that I still had a social life. I was still able to talk to people and have fun and just not take stuff seriously, and have friends that I could just talk with. Something that we both liked, WoW, or just talk about, work. Oh yeah, I had a shit night at work. I did too. Oh well, we let's go farm some old raids for some transmogs or something. And it was just a great way to unwind and have still those social connections that just have that sort of awful work-life balance didn't really afford me outside of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what the Warcraft, like, for the most part, like, has meant the most to me. I've been improving my social life in recent years as I've learned exactly what's going on. But I still
considering you went out karaoke with like a bunch of people.
Exactly. But it's still something that I feel like I don't have to give up to have like a more quote unquote normal social life. I can still have those connections within the community, especially after, I was lucky enough to go to Blizzcon in 2017.
Oh wow.
And that was just so much fun, because I went with one of my old guildies because she got a ticket too. And so it was just really awesome, like getting to hang out with her, and then also meet some of my other friends that played who were there, and meet new people. I met up with Talias and Nevitel there. They were there a bit too. And so it was just a really great experience to just see sort of like the community in real life, and have that like sort of reaffirmation of, yeah, these are like people that really care about this thing I care about too. And it was just a really great experience for that. And so I think for me, like the Warcraft, and also just online communities in general, it's like this supplementary social network that it's different than like the friends you have in real life, but it doesn't mean they're any less important. Because like I've had really close friends that I've only known through like Warcraft, and I've also had really good friends that I've never played video games with. And so I feel like it's just like this additional friend network that you can have, that you can interact with in different ways than you do with other friends. So I think that has really been sort of like what I've taken from the community. I really enjoy about it. And I feel like other people have that too. But again, it's just what I see.
No, I think you make a very good point there. I think, like you said, you have, because even I hate it when you have to almost say like, yeah, your real life friends, because people in World of Warcraft are still like real life friends because they're still real people. They're just not like,
exactly.
Right, you just don't meet them like in the normal conventional ways. But it's just like having friends that you meet from work or friends from school, or it's all just different groups of friends. And I think, people you meet in the game, that's like another category, but it's still like, it can be really close friendships. So no, I completely am with you on that. Now we get to the weird question. The one that, it has started to lead its own life a little bit of what it is. So, what is your whisper? And for those who are like, what the hell is a whisper? It's a failed gimmick. I'll be the first to admit that. But it can be anything. So basically something that you would want to happen in game, or that you're hoping for a little bit of a wish, or maybe it's like you want to spread a sort of rumor that is happening in the game. It might be true, it might be not. Fairy crafting, just anything you want to blurt out that people could go like, oh, all right.
This is going to be my campaign. It's going to be what I write petitions for, I give speeches about, but we need a bard class that's playable. We need bards in WoW. And,
yes, we do.
And that is the hill that I will die on. And whenever I feel kind of bad talking about Taliesin so much. He's in the guild and we're friends. So whenever he brings up Tinkers, like, I think Tinkers are going to be a thing. I'm like, shut your goddamn mouth, Taliesin. We need bards. Before you even consider Tinkers, bards. Like they are the superior class. They have a longer history in RPGs. They're more fun. And if I go off the deep end here, a bard class would be perfect for experimentation with with gameplay styles. Ooh. Which I want Blizzard to do more of, because they do it a bit with some classes, like with priests, how they have like 2 different healing specs.
Mm-hmm.
They really kind of play around with sort of how that works and how that gameplay works with like discipline and how they deal damage to heal. And I think that's really cool, and it leads to like some really fun gameplay. I've played disc priests. Well, I've tried level priests. I don't think I've got priest to max level, but I've tried. Disc priests are always a lot of fun because it's just such a different gameplay style. It works within the lore, and it works mechanically because they've experimented. They've worked up kings over a long time, which is great, and I love that. And also when you have the triple DPS spec classes, they play around with the mechanics at each spec so they feel different and unique.
Mm-hmm.
Like I played a lot of Warlock, and I more played Destro. That's the sort of gameplay that I like. I was never good at Affliction. I never really got Affliction, but I like Destruction. Play that, but that's what I like. Like it's the same class, but these specs are completely different mechanically, and it leads to some very interesting gameplay. Because like I've known Affliction Warlocks that are just ridiculously good. I could never do that in Warlock. But this is my pitch for Bard, because Bard could give us our 4th spec, a like completely utility support spec.
Ooh.
That they're like because that fits with the lore Bards. Bards are like they use magic to buff friends and demoralize enemies. So come on, they could easily be another like 3-spec class. They have straight DPS, straight healing, and then support. So they still have the 2 traditional gameplay for people that are like, yeah, I just want to heal or damage, and then they have this very unique hybrid spec that is like they don't really do much healing, they don't do much damage, but they make other people's damage and healing and so much better. And I can understand why Blizzard is hesitant to do that. That doesn't mean I don't think that they should, because that's where the game always grows. Blizzard takes chances and they do something new and unique, like with Artifact Weapon Legion.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally new, but I would say that system was fun for the most part. It had its problems, of course, just like as we're seeing now, like the back system in PFA. But I feel like overall it was a cool system that had a lot of potential. Blizzard is still trying to figure out how to best implement it in future iterations, and so I want them to see. I want to see him experiment with like core class mechanics, and I feel like Bard as being a kind of a whimsical and joke class to begin with is perfect, because if it completely fails, they can just yank out that spec and keep it like damage healing and be like, sorry, we're just gonna shelve it, it didn't work, completely broke the game, or just it's gone. But then they can still have like the healing and damage specs for the Bard. Nobody has to get rid of their Bard. But that is my wishful dream for WoW is Bards and a 4th spec.
I like that. Do you also reckon that we should get like different instruments per spec?
Yes. I mean, of course, you'd have to.
I'm so on your side with this now. Even if Tally says no, we didn't get Tinkers. No, we're getting Bards first. Just
I know. Like it, and whenever I bring this up, people are like, "Oh yeah, but they did. It was the April Fool's joke back in like I don't remember, like 2007 or something." Like, yeah, but that was a joke. Now they need to do it. Like, Jaina was a Dreadlord was a joke, and then you look at Heroes of the Storm, Jaina's a Dreadlord. Like, yeah, they'll do it.
Pandas were a joke in the beginning as well, even though they were in the game. They were used as April Fool's joke, so who knows?
Pandas were a meme. I mean, they're still a meme, but they were more of them.
Exactly. Well, it was lovely having you on as a guest. So if people want to find you on the interwebs, where can they find you, or do you want to stay anonymous?
No, people can find me. I don't know if there's that much to be found, but they can check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/confusedcal. I think I stream maybe once a year, so they can look forward to that.
It's something to look forward to then.
Yeah, my like once a year stream that I do for Extra Life. That's look forward to that in November. Or YouTube, where I may or may not be making videos in some near future. I've been playing around with the idea for a while. But again, same thing, YouTube at Confused Cal. They can find me there. I think I do have one video where it's like a 2-hour stream that I did, like playing Fortnite when it first came out. So if you want some very boring content, you can find it there.
I wouldn't say it's boring, It's it will come. Everything, like if you stream, you build it up more and more and more. I will make sure that there are links in the show notes anyway. But thank you so much for being my first guildie that's been a guest.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
I hope you enjoyed that interview. It's always lovely talking to a guildie, so I'm hoping that I will talk to many more in the future. But for now, let's go back to Twitter. And my question of the week was, what are you doing in World of Warcraft at the moment? And you guys responded a lot. So Aaron Wilbanks said, exploring the world and fighting the Horde in war mode. Well, it is Battle for Azeroth, so you're doing something good with fighting. Exclavier said, after getting 4 classes to 120, I've actually been running old content for transmog and leveling alts to prevent BFA burnout. Oh yeah, I'm playing a lot of Guild Wars 2, but I saved that for a secondary in case you just wanted to use the first one. You know, I'm happy that you're playing Guild Wars 2. I need to try that out again because I haven't done that in ages, and I always like playing other MMOs in between. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Frasley said, right now it's alt leveling as I'm getting to do zones I haven't done in a while, and it's a good stream fodder. That is very true. That is very true, and you should really check out Frasley's stream as well. Syrup said, right now I'm enjoying islands. I haven't done much of those this expansion pack, so it's fun to go see those zones and do something besides World Quest to level my HOA. What is HOA? I don't know what that is. Let me think about that one. Nope. It doesn't come to my head. So that must be something that an abbreviation I don't know. I'm sorry. I feel you, listeners. Elisabella said, level our new Kultirans with Grandmaster Jarv. I hope you're enjoying that. Ringmaster Kevin from the Dark Moon Herald podcast, make sure that you check that one out because it's amazing. I love it. Said, I am loving getting all of the story quests done in every zone and farming transmog from past raids. Transmog seems very, very popular right now. I hear a lot of people doing that, so it's good. It's good that we can all go back. Ash said, logging out. Joke. Raiding. It's the one thing keeping me going right now with my friends and team. COS was a breath of dank air while we slog through heroic BOD. Oh, I'm sorry. Miss Killian said, running old content for sweet loots, so I'm assuming transmog and mounts. Rob to the Max from Of Course the Training Dummies said, a raid night with the guild family. Make sure that you also check out that podcast. And if you're already looking out for a podcast, you can't miss the next one, which is, of course, Dungeon Fables. And the lovely Ali said, ooh, hard choice. My first thought was leveling because I love the storyline and the satisfaction of gaining a new level. But I also love islands and dungeons and raids. It seems like, Ali is keeping herself busy, which is good. I think that's always good. Now, for me, at the moment, it is still getting that reputation grind going on, because I need to unlock all the allied races. I think after that, I'm actually, I'm debating maining a healer on the Alliance side, not on the Horde side. I'm very happy on my rogue on the Horde side. I love being a stealthy, sneaky bastard, so that's what I'm doing. But I think I want to run some content with a healer. Now, I really don't know what kind of healer. I have a druid at 120, but I only play her as balance. And she's probably my best geared character, actually. Even better than my rogue. But I don't know if I like druid healing. Just because I don't really like healing over time. I'm much more like something happens, bam. I'll solve it. I used to really enjoy Disc when I could just shield people beforehand. It was lazy healing, let's face it. Back in those days, I was just like, shield, done. I'll throw you a little bit of a heal here, done. I really enjoyed that. I don't think I'll enjoy it as much with the changes now. I do hear that Holy is a good healer. I've heard very many positive stories about that. But the healer I've always been kind of like loving is Resto Shabby. I just don't know if they are very viable nowadays in anything that's, like Mythic Plus or raids or dungeons, whatever. So yeah, I never really done Paladin healing. Monk is also not really my thing, I guess. Do we have any other healers? I think that's kind of it, isn't it? So yeah, maybe you guys can convince me what I should really roll and try to play with that. If you can convince me of Paladin healing, I might try it, but I like smashing things in the face much more on Paladin. So, yeah. Let me know. I'm really, really curious about that. So I am going to play healer soon. I just don't know which one. If you are saying I need to pick up the Resto Druid, I will, but I will need some tips because I'm rusty with that. And that's really it. I'll leave you with a bit of a drama story around the guild. This is more, I'm not going to say like, oh, woe is us. This is more about some drama that was created, I guess, by friends of this person. So, yeah, it's a little bit of a different type of story. Don't know if you should really feel sorry about it. You'll hear. Anyhow, Barris said, I got a story about my friend breaking a guild up. All the names I'll use will be fake and obvious. Okay. My friend was a new player at the time. It's been 4 or 5 months since he started playing. He was playing a rogue. Oh, rogue's getting a bad name. He didn't even level the character. Oh dear. So obviously he sucked. He found a recruiting post on Facebook and decided to join the guild. He told them upfront that he sucks. Let's call him the guild breaker. And he'd be okay with it if they didn't take him to guild runs. He also asked them to invite me. So we both joined the guild. This guild was founded after a guild trauma. They left their old guild and founded this one. So the guild wasn't running Mythic and Taurus at the time. We were just clearing Heroic and that's it. One of the officers, Officer Dumbass, I did not pick these names, this is what the writer picked, said, why are we boosting the guild breaker? The raid leader said, yeah, I know his DPS is low, but we cleared 7 bosses so far and he still didn't die. Then Officer Dumbass kicked the guild breaker from the raid. Raid leader flipped and kicked Officer Dumbass and invited the guild breaker. People started talking, and then the raid leader said, I'm your raid leader. If you got complaints about my decision, we'll talk about it after the raid. Then we cleared Heroic, and he said, alright, any complaints or questions? People asked why he kicked Officer Dumbass. He said, I'm the raid leader. He should have trusted my decision to bring Guildbreaker to heroic runs, or at least talk to me about it. He just kicked the guy. Officer Dumbass is no longer part of our guild runs. Anyone got a problem with that? Then a member said, yeah, I got a problem with that. When we left the old guild, we said we'd always look out for each other. The raid leader said, well, I'm not giving him special treatment. If you don't like my decision, you can elect a new raid leader. And he suggested a name, and a day later they invited him to a channel on Discord to talk about the situation. They didn't talk about the situation, they just cursed at him and talked shit, so he left the guild and took half the raiders. And that's all. In all fairness, I don't think you really caused the drama, I just think there was already some tension there. I think there was already some power struggles going on there, but I don't think your friend was the guild breaker. That's a harsh name to give him, but wow, there was some tension there. So that's very interesting. In all fairness, I've seen this happen in many guilds. I have one more story for you guys, but I will keep that one for next week. I'm not going to say it's around someone that you might know, but you might know. And that's really it. I don't want to say too much about that. Right. Thank you guys for listening, for downloading. I know it's a bit, over Easter, it's very difficult to get anything done, at least for me. And I'm starting a new job on Wednesday, so I'm kind of like shitting my pants right now, because it's scary, meeting new people and doing new things that... What if they find out I suck or something? I don't know. I'm going to try and get some World of Warcraft time in, but I might be so exhausted at night. I'm just like, I just want to go to bed, because I'm old and this is taking all my brain power. But of course you can always email me. Maybe I just need lots of emails with all your stories, whatever you want to say or ask or whatever. We can talk about anything. But you can contact me on the email whispersofwarpodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to get some emails, I really would. Twitter @whispers_of_war. I will post questions of the week there as well. If you want to follow my private one, you can do that as well on Twitter @McMonkeys with a Z. That's MC Monkeys. And just, if you follow me there, I will follow you back. Don't worry about it. It's just, they are private at the moment, dudes. And if you want to see all the show notes, then you can do that at whispersofwar.podbean.com. Thank you so much for everything. If you get your Blizzcon tickets on Saturday next week, I wish you lots of luck if you're in that waiting room, patiently hoping that you'll get through. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you all. and I will talk to you again next week. Bye bye!